Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the JDA Football Podcast. Now, this past week saw two Uniteds go head-to-head. Manchester United coming out on top. Manchester City struggled to find the important goal against the unified Spurs, and general news, which includes Martin Odergaard set to return to the Emirates, and rumours surrounding Robert Lewandowski's future at Bayern Munich seems to be in the Premier League as the most likely option. All of that and much more to come on this episode. But Alex, we had the first game week back of the Premier League last weekend. And it was great to see fans back in the stadium, wasn't it?
Yeah, very good. It's just a bit refreshing, really, after I don't know how long without football now. So, yeah, just have to see how this week goes as well.
Yep. So we've got a lot to go through. We'll start off with the games, though, from last weekend. Jason just put a comment in JDA back. We are back. We'll start off with the Friday game. I think it makes sense out of the most games. Brentford 2, Arsenal 0 in the end. Canos and Norwich getting the vital goals for Brentford. And Jamie Carragher said it on commentary. He said, this is such an Arsenal performance. And this is what we're sort of getting used to in the past couple of years. And that performance just showed why, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was mostly down to Mbeumo and Tony for Brentford. They really bullied Ben White and Pablo Mari at the back. They just didn't really look like centre-backs most of the game. And, I mean, they got the better of them. Even though they didn't score, they were probably the two best players on the pitch. So I think that's where Brentford really took the advantage against Arsenal. And obviously, they got the two very important goals to get a winning start.
I think the crowd really helped, though. I've not seen an atmosphere like that in ages, mainly because fans haven't been in the stadiums. But like you said at the start, it was very refreshing seeing them back. And it was sort of a 12th man for them, I think. I think Arsenal's team, and especially the back four, just couldn't cope. When Mbeumo rinsed, I think it was Ben White, there was no chance that he was mentally going to come back from that in the game, and he didn't in the end. And I think Mbeumo had a great game in total. Out of all of the performances, I think it was of the team, he was top 3, top 5 in Brentford's team, I think. And even Ivan Toney, he showed, I think you said it before, he showed his like dominance really, especially in the air, because we know Brentford like to play on the ball, make good passes. But then I think when it got like sort of scrappy and he knew that they could get into Arsenal and get into the faces and stuff, that's when they started blasting it up to Ivan Toney. So it's good to see that they have different options. But yeah, we'll come on to Arsenal's transfer news later. But how do you think Brentford will do for the rest of the season? Does this set the standard for them now, do you think?
I hope they can ride on this performance as much as possible. But obviously, you're going to not be at home all of the season. It's going to be hard when you go to places like Man United and even like some of the smaller teams like Brighton. You're not going to have the home fans on your back. So you have to find a bit more quality in those sort of games. But yeah, judging on this performance, I think they'll do just fine.
We'll move on to the next game now. The Roses rivalry took place on the first game on Saturday between Manchester United and Leeds United. 5-1 to Manchester United in the end. Bruno Fernandes getting his first hat-trick for United. Pogba broke the assist record for United in one game with 4 assists. And we'll come on to Raphael Varane in a minute. But we'll start off with Manchester United. I think it was a great performance. I think it really showed, and I spoke about Brentford setting the standard for their season. This definitely set the standard for United to show that they are sort of a mainly top 4 contender, to show that they're possible, and well, not possible, I think they're set on really to be in that top 4 this season, and even possibly fighting for the title. But I don't think we are, but some people do. And the squad that we have now with Sancho coming on, he didn't really get on the ball and do a great deal. But the team without Varane and Sancho, and that wasn't even our best team, remember, we had Dan James on as well. It just shows how much depth we're starting to build. We're not fully there yet. We're not like Liverpool or City, or Chelsea, but we're not fully there yet. But we're getting close, and I can see that in that performance there. As a non-biased opinion, Alex, what did you think of the game?
Yeah, I thought it was a very good game. I think it looked like Man United were going to score every time they came forward. But I think Leeds' main, like what they did wrong was just let Pogba have the ball. Every time he got the ball, he just played one killer ball to maybe Fernandes or Greenwood, and you were just clean through. So, yeah, I think Leeds tactically, you don't normally say this, but they just got it wrong this time.
Yeah, I think like United with Bruno, I think that goal where it was the third goal, I think. That ball from Lindelof, I think Pogba's brought their two centre-backs out, I think it was Greenwood, actually. And Lindelof's played a ball in behind. He was so open, and the finish was superb by Bruno. So I do think, let me see what Jason's saying here. So he's saying, what do you mean, like, Liverpool, our depth is our biggest issue? I mean,
but
yeah.
Compared to other teams, I mean...
Yeah, compared to other teams, like Alex is saying there, I think in the positions that you do have, taking injuries out of the equation, I think you do have a class second team. Our class second team, you've not got Mata, who looks like if he runs one edge of the pitch or whole of the pitch, he looks like he could possibly not make it alive. So you've not got those things to play into contention. But I think you have got a good depth, to be honest. But yeah, you might not think it is, but I think there are certain places that you could improve in your depth. But I think, like Alex said, compared to other teams, I think you've got a better depth than most people. But we have James Milner and Oxlade-Chamberlain. I've heard one Liverpool fan say James Milner's the best player in the team, so I rest my case. He's a workhorse, apparently. And then Oxlade-Chamberlain. He's a good player. He's a good player. He used to be a couple of seasons ago when he scored against City. But we'll carry on now. We'll talk about Leeds. What do you think about their performance, Alex? Because they didn't seem to press as much as we thought they would. And we spoke about it before. They were just so open.
Yeah, I don't think they were actually that bad. They created quite a few chances with Raphinha. They really struggled to get Bamford into the game, really, and I think that's what let them down goals-wise. And then, obviously, Luke Ayling with an absolute banger of a goal to get 1-1 just after half-time, which I thought they were going to push on from that, but they really didn't. I think they put too many players forward and then just gave all of your midfielders too much space. And then, you just punish them with the quality you do have.
Yeah. I'll go into the signing now, just quickly. Raphael Varane. When he came out, I don't know about you, Alex, but it was sort of like a Galacticos moment from Real Madrid's era. It just felt like that. I don't know why. I think Joe Willock and Newcastle tried to sort of recreate it, but it didn't have the same edge. But he came out with the suit. I thought the selfie was maybe a bit cringy, but it was good to see that there's sort of a change in the club, and the signings like that is a class signing. And we didn't even do it with Sancho, but the fact that we've had to wait this long for him to be officially signed, the moment there was just class. And I think it really got the crowd like uproared, and I think, well, not uproared, but like it got them really active. We've not seen United crowds active, but with them coming back into the stadium as well, it was just beautiful to see. It was good to see. We'll go on to the next game now, though, where it was Watford versus Aston Villa. 3-2 to Watford in the end. Dennis is the fourth Nigerian to score in his Premier League debut. Along with Cuco Hernandez, is the first Colombian to score in his Premier League debut. Those two signings and many others, I think Watford looked like a great team compared to this season that they had. Not last season, but before, when they were back in the Prem.
Yeah, definitely. I think including Dennis, maybe Sarr as well, and even Atebo in the midfield, he just looked very comfortable. Like they're in a new team, but they just look like they've been playing there the whole career. Villa, on the other hand, defensively was their main asset last season, but they just looked so open. With John McGinn, who we know is a slightly more attacking midfielder, and then Nakamba, who wasn't the best at some points last season. They just didn't really have any cover. And then with the pace of Dennis and Sarr, they just couldn't really cope. And then I know they came back to it late on. Leon Bailey with quite a good assist, and then McGinn with a very good goal, and then Danny Ings scoring on his debut with a penalty, pulled it back a bit. But I think it's a very disappointing start for Aston Villa with all the signings they've made.
Yeah, I think Watford, you can't take anything away from them. I think they hit the ground running very well under Xisco Munoz. And I think the way he set them out was sort of like the intent to attack, which we've not seen with Watford over the last couple of seasons, especially in the Premier League. But the man you had alluded to before, Sarr, I think he deserved a goal out of everyone. He was a workhorse. I think he has the most, in 28 games, I think he's created the most chances and got the most goals for Watford. So he's a class player to watch out for. And I think with that front three and with Dennis coming into that and Cuco Hernandez, who scored a banger, by the way, let me just say, I think all of them players could be something special as a front three. We talk about streets never forget players, and Alex has done the TikToks on them. Some of them could be in the firing line for that, but we'll have to wait and see. But we've not seen Watford's style of play and the philosophy in the past couple of years. Now we can sort of see it, sort of playing on the counter-attack with a lot of pace, or equally get it out to the wings and cross it into the box to Dennis, it seems. Is it good to see that they have a way to play now?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, they haven't really had an attacking style of play like this, maybe even since Marco Silva, and he left to come go to Everton, which didn't really work out. But yeah, they've just been struggling ever since that. And then with the signings they have made, some great signings, to be honest. Emmanuel Dennis scored at Real Madrid twice and did the Ronaldo celebration. So he's obviously one to look out for. And he's also still young as well. They don't have an aging squad. Still a very, very young squad and a lot to come from them.
Definitely. We'll move on to another game now that consisted of 3 goals. Norwich 0, Liverpool 3. Jota got his 10th goal for the Reds. Liverpool's second goal, scored by Firmino, was their 8,000th league goal. I mean, Liverpool are back, really, aren't they? That's the only way to describe it. Virgil van Dijk was back. Joe Matip started as a centre-back partner. And I think with Chimiskas still into the team, who, by the way, Jason, thanks for mentioning, he got me 6 points. Liverpool, like I said before, they're back to the best. And I think it's dangerous to see what they can do in the future because we've seen them in the past years when they've got the full squad. I'm not talking about depth there, Jason. I'm talking about the starting 11. It's dangerous to see what they can do. And I think that front three was just working great together. And Norwich had the odd chance with Pukki. I think he hit the post, or he did get a shot on target. But
yeah,
it never looked like they were
and
really going
to. They had that scramble in the goal as well when Alisson cleared it off the line as well.
Yeah, that was a great save by Alisson. Yeah, I think that's the one I'm on about. That was a great save by Alisson. And then it didn't really seem to change throughout the whole game. It just seemed to be Liverpool, Liverpool, Liverpool. And the scoreline shows it in itself, 3-0 in the end. What can they take from this to go throughout the rest of the season now? If they don't get any injuries, that's good.
Who, Liverpool or Norwich?
Yeah, Liverpool, sorry.
I think one thing I would take away from that match is they showed very much like the quality that they have in their squad. Like, I'm pretty sure if a lot of other teams in the league went to Carrow Road on the first day of the season, like with the fans roaring against them and everything, they'd really struggle to score goals. But I think the quality that Liverpool had really showed for them, and they just managed to keep bagging. And yeah, if they can carry that on for the rest of the season and don't get that many more injuries, then I think they'll do very well.
Yeah, I think looking at Norwich's sides of things, they have signed the right players. We've talked about in the past, they've not signed the best players. They've got a couple of players on loan. So it's good to see that they have the permanent options now. I think Pierre-Lise Malou made his debut alongside a number of others.
Billy Gilmore.
He didn't really seem to impact the game as he would at Chelsea. I don't know about you. He didn't have that midfield presence, whether that's because it was against Liverpool. But we've seen him do it against Liverpool in the past FA Cup. So
I think I don't really know. Like, it might have been because the two midfielders beside him are slightly defensive as well. But he just didn't really seem to be in the game as much as he normally is.
Yep. So Liverpool get the 3 points in that game. We'll move on to Chelsea's result now against Patrick Vieira's Crystal Palace. Chelsea won 3-0. Alonso's free kick was outstanding in itself, but that was the 50th direct free kick Chelsea have scored in the Premier League. I mean, I say Liverpool are back, but Chelsea have consistently shown, especially through last season as well, why they're proved to be, I think, in this title race this season. And they've won the Champions League, of course, 5 months in with Thomas Tuchel. It's something that we've not really seen in, well, I say a long time, but it's something good to see, to see a manager coming in and hit that impact in that team and sort of change them without a great deal of subs and transfers that him himself has had to bring in. But Chelsea looked very good in this match, and it was sort of a letdown for Palace, wasn't it? Because of all the hype that's been happening with Vieira, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a very, very good performance from Chelsea, a very dominant performance. But then again, we kind of saw the Palace team from last season. The only player that they've signed that was starting was Mark Gahey, who, to be honest, didn't really have that much of an impact at centre back. And I think Anderson came on at half time as well. But again, he didn't really have much of an impact. So I think when they start getting the players that they've signed, I know Elise is going to be a very prominent player in that team. Then I think they should do quite a lot better. But yeah, it's very disappointing for the first game of Patrick Vieira's era.
Yeah, it didn't help that Mark Guade started against his old club, did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because of course he went on loan to Derby County last season, impressed, and that's why he's come to Crystal Palace this season. But we'll move on to your club now, Alex. Everton, they beat Crystal Palace at Southampton 3-1. Before I hand over to you, I'm just saying you can clearly see the style of play Benitez is bringing to this team for Everton. You can see he's getting it out wide, whipping it in. I mean, 17 crosses virtually into Calvert-Lewin in that game. So we spoke about philosophies with Brentford being identified. I know, was it Norwich? No, it was Watford, sorry. You can see this philosophy, that sort of style of play that Benitez is trying to bring in with balls into the box. And I mean, it worked in the end, didn't it? You got a couple of chances that you managed to stick away. Richarlison's was a great volley. But yeah, I'll hand over to you now because I'm sure you've got a lot to say about the performance.
Well, yeah, I just thought first 20 minutes we were definitely on top. We're on top for most of the game, but as soon as we made that horrible defensive error, which led Armstrong, and then we just went a bit flat until half time, and then we came out second half. No one really thought anything of it, and then obviously Richarlison getting the goal early on really helped, and then Decore with an absolute rocket to get us in the lead, and then obviously the tempo was on our side. Then, and we just started spraying the balls in, and then Calvert-Lewin got the third. So, yeah, overall, again, it wasn't the best performance. We definitely, as you said, saw a better style of play than we had, obviously, against United in pre-season, and then hopefully we get some more players in to add a bit more quality. But yeah, it's a very good start.
Yeah, I think as much as like people were raving about the Decore goal, and what I hear was, to be fair, the build-up play for the last goal was it? I think it was Calvert-Lewin, wasn't it, with the header? The build-up play for that goal was insane. Did you see it?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you only see it up on the camera, which is like close. I think it was on Match of the Day when they brought the camera back, and you could see, wow, like those like triangles all over the pitch, and especially on the right side as well. So, what are the key combinations that we have to watch out for? Because you always go about Iwobi and Everton fans saying, "How is he still at the club?" But
I thought he was actually very good.
Yeah,
that game.
There was one game last season where I thought, "Oh, this will kickstart him now at Everton," even though he's been here about a year or so. And it was the game against Fulham, I think it was, when you won 3-2 or something.
Yeah,
3-1. That was the game that I thought he was
when he
going to
played
kick
right
off
wing back.
Yeah, but now he's not playing right wing back, is he? He's playing on the wing back, his usual position. But yeah, I think. What do you think he could bring to the team this season, Iwobi? I know fans slate him a lot.
I mean, he played well, but like obviously he only played 20 minutes. If he can show it for 90 minutes and then show it a couple of games on the road, then I think he might be in a couple of more people's good sides. But then he just doesn't work very hard, and sometimes he just doesn't have the quality on the pitch. So it's going to be hard for him. But yeah, if he just shows it a couple more games, and I think he'll start to move on some people's good sides.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of Everton fans this week as well. When they came out of the stadium after the 3-1 win, they got interviewed and said, do you still like Rafa, or do you like Rafa even? They say, no, we're still not a big fan of him. And they were saying, what does it take for you to like him, basically? And they said, to win the Premier League with us, basically. Now I want to get your point. I want to get your answer to this. What convinces you to be on his side? Because it seems like the majority of fans, and I don't blame them, aren't on his side at the moment.
I mean, I think European football will probably be the marker for me. Like, there's been a lot of managers that come before him, Marco Silva and obviously Carlo Ancelotti, and none of them could have got us European football. So, I mean, if he can first season come in and like with barely any signings really. I think we spent 1.5 million on 3 signings, which isn't that much for a Premier League club. If he can get European football, I think a lot of us will change our minds on him. But ultimately, he's still the manager that at the moment that Liverpool had and won them the Champions League and said all of those quotes about us that it's got really onto our darker side. So yeah, it's definitely going to be hard for him. But I mean, he must have known that it would have been hard to take the job at the first place. So I think he'll have the mental capacity to be able to do it.
Yeah, I still think he's a great manager for you. And I only say that because if you looked at the teams that he's had to manage, I think I've said this to you last week, he went to that Liverpool team who, let's be honest, Gerrard was by far the best player in that team. So he's working with sort of a one-man team in the 2005 team. And he still managed to get them and win the Champions League. That in itself, against that AC Milan team as well, you wouldn't think it in a million years. So he's done that. He's been to Italy with Napoli. He's proved himself there against a big Juventus side. I said this to you. That Juventus side between, I think it was 2012, 2011, and most recently, 2018, 2017. That side was unbelievable. It was like nine Serie A's in a row, wasn't it? It's quite hard to stop. And he managed to have a go at them in not a sense that anyone in the past, apart from Inter, of course, last year, have had a go at them. So I think you've got a manager who works with the teams that aren't at the top of the country, at the top of the level, and still makes them into a great team that plays European football. So does that side sort of excite you in a way?
Yeah, I mean, if he wasn't like the former Liverpool manager and he hadn't said those quotes about us, I think we'd be much more content with him, and probably a lot of our fans would have accepted him to be the manager. But yeah, it's just if he hadn't have said those things, then I think he would have been on much more people's good sides and everything. But yeah, I mean, you have to really wipe the slate clean, really, to get a positive picture about him. And obviously, if he keeps winning, then you can only get better.
Yeah, definitely. We'll just flow over the Saturday games quite quickly. Brighton won 2-1 against Burnley, and Leicester beat Wolves 1-0 with Jamie Vardy getting his vital goal. Bruno Lage's first loss under Wolves as the manager. We'll move on to the Sunday games now. I'll start off with the game at St James's Park, and what a thriller it was. West Ham 4, Newcastle 2. Alex, West Ham, they could be carrying their form from last season into this season, and it's scary to think that they might be able to get Champions League. You just never know, do
you? Yeah, I mean they were pretty much dreadful in the first half, 2-1 down, and I mean the Newcastle fans were really getting on top of their team, and I think they did really well in the second half to turn it around. Mikel Antonio, although he did really well, and I think he's their Premier League all-time.
Yeah, I think he's either 10 or 1 behind. He's either 10 or 1 behind. So yeah, he is. Yeah, he is very close.
And then yeah, I mean, Said Benrahma really struggled last season, and obviously he's kick-started his season very well. So hopefully he can bring that into other games as well.
Yeah, Newcastle, that first half, they were. I mean, I've not seen Newcastle like that in a long time. They just full on dominated, and they had the best chances clear cut that first half. And Alan St. Maximin against Declan Rice with those tricks summed up that first half, really taking the knock out of West Ham. But yeah, I'm just thinking Newcastle, the fans didn't get on the backs. They were with them, and it's weird to hear that with Newcastle. They were with the players, the fans, which they're normally against them, and of course the owner's Mike Ashley and what's going on there. I'm not big a fan of Steve Bruce, but to see them get behind the players, it's good to see, because we know how big of a club Newcastle is, and for the crowd and fans to finally get behind their team, looks like fully, with fans back in the stadium. There was a real atmosphere at St James's Park, which we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was very good, but it was kind of just a shame that when West Ham did start winning, they started like getting, as you said, they weren't on top of the team at the start, and then they were just so again a bit angry, and then not really carrying the energy that they had in the first half into the second half. So yeah, it was kind of negative to see, but I'm pretty sure they can take the 2 goals and the style of play that they had in the first half into the Premier League season.
Yeah, definitely. I got the last bit of that, but yeah, they will take it into the season. And we'll hopefully see them win a couple of games this season and maybe get into the top 10. You just have no idea. Spurs won 1-0 against Manchester City with Grealish in the team. De Bruyne wasn't in the team. Foden wasn't in the team. Son gets the vital goal, and you could say it was poor defending, but Edison probably should have done better because he didn't read the flight of the ball very well because Diaz was sort of in his vision of the ball when it was struck by Son. But I think Tottenham overall, I think they looked very good under Nuno Espirito Santo, considering everything that's gone on with Kane in these past couple of weeks. I think it was really clear to see how Spurs want to approach this season and the style of play that they want to play. We saw Romelu get a couple of minutes, which was good to see for Spurs fans. And then Davinson Sanchez and that back three looked pretty solid for Spurs, not really letting a great deal of chances in. And the chances that they did leave in, City couldn't really counter on them, really. They couldn't really put the ball in the back of the net. And what do you think that's down to? Do you reckon that's down to not really having a proper striker up front? Is that why City didn't really get a goal this game? Because that's what a lot of people are saying.
Yeah, I think it's definitely that Ferran Torres, really struggled on his own up front. He was getting balls put into him, but he just couldn't find his shooting boots. So yeah, as you said, I think an out striker is what they desperately need. To before the window closes.
Yeah, and I think they've spent all this money now, and they've not really been linked to a great deal of people. But we'll come on to Lewandowski in a moment. And he says apparently he wants a new challenge and a new move. If he goes to City, we spoke about Kane coming, but Lewandowski's stats from last season are just absolutely insane. There was no Ballon d'Or last year, but if there was, Robert Lewandowski would have won it. You can clearly see that. If he goes to City,
yeah,
surely it's game over times 2. Because with Kane, it was game over 1, but this is game over times 2, surely.
Yeah, definitely. I think
I think we've lost Alex. Just be 1 second. Technology. I'll just read out what the other games were here now. We'll come back. There you are. I think you're back. Yeah. Are we all good now? All good? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. You cut out a bit. I think, just finish off the last point you were talking about.
Yeah, I was just going to say he definitely wants to show himself in another league. Obviously, he's done it in the Champions League and the Bundesliga at a very, very high level. But I mean, yeah, as you said, if he goes to City, he'll just get tens of thousands more chances, and he'll just keep putting it in the back of the net.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if he, like you said, if he does go, then everyone's in big trouble. And a lot of people said when Kane go, just give up. But like I said before, game over times 2, give up times 2 if it comes to this. But yeah, that's game week 1 done for the Premier League reviewed. We'll go on to some transfer news and general news. We'll start off with Pedro, of course, from a Barcelona and Chelsea player, makes his move from Roma to rivals Lazio. I mean, I don't think anyone's done this move in 40 years from the two rivals. So to see Pedro go over, of course, the fans won't be happy. But is it sort of a decline in his career, could you say, with Mourinho starting to get all of the deadwood really out and the players that he doesn't like out of the Roma team? We've seen Tammy Abraham come in this week. But the outgoings, he's making it clear which players he wants and which players he doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a very positive thing for Roma, but obviously, I mean, Pedro, he's been playing at the highest level for I don't know how many years now, 15. He's been at Barcelona, Chelsea, and now he's finally playing at Lazio. So yeah, it's not really a negative for him. He's still playing at the top level, but yeah, he's definitely declining. His pace is going, but his quality is still there.
We'll move on to all things Arsenal now, consisting of Aaron Ramsdale and Martin Odegaard. We'll start off with Martin Odegaard, actually, and apparently he is making a move from Real Madrid to Arsenal for £30 million, making it a permanent deal. Of course, he impressed on his loan from January onwards last season. This shows how good Arsenal, well, I say good Arsenal, this shows how much they need to improve, and especially with that midfield, it's just adding another element of creativity into that team, isn't it, considering the players who have left this season?
Yeah, definitely. They were very good when he came in on loan in January. I think they finished second on the overall table from January or something ludicrous like that. So it'll definitely add another. And obviously, they've been struggling to score goals. And if he can create a few, then it'll be a very big jump for him and the club.
Yeah, what I got of it, yeah, I think it is. We'll move on to the other signing now. Aaron Ramsdale, 24 million. Another, you could say big sum, but in the modern day market, it's not really a big sum, is it? But for a goalkeeper, I said this to an Arsenal fan before. I said, do you actually need him out of all the positions? And I know Leno's had a shaky start to the season, but you can only see what's in front of him. Look what he's dealing with, really. He's had a new signing, Ben White, who's not got off to the best start. You've got Callum Chambers coming in and out of the team with the injuries. You've got numerous amount of players who should be doing better, but they're just not fitting into the system and working well. Is this a player that they really, really needed? Because personally, I don't think they did need him.
No, they could even spend a bit of that money on a right back developing. They've ended up going for a goalkeeper who admittedly is still quite a young goalkeeper, but relegated with Bournemouth, now relegated with Sheffield United, and now he's going for 30 million to Arsenal. So I don't really get it as much. Like, as you said, Leno's not had a brilliant start to the season or end of last season, but surely he's better than Ramsdale.
Yeah. Leno's by far better than Ramsdale. Ramsdale's never played in the Bundesliga, one of the top leagues in Europe. And that's nothing to take away from him, don't get me wrong, because he has played in the Premier League. But he would be a great fit if they didn't have Leno. But because Leno's in the side,
yeah,
that just seems to me at 24 million chucked down the drain when they could have invested it into a better position that they actually needed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like Jamie Carragher said, this is just an Arsenal thing, isn't it? But we'll move on to the next big talk of the transfer news. We spoke about him before. Robert Lewandowski wants a new challenge. It looks like it's going to be Premier League inbound. Alex, give me 4 possible clubs that he could go to. And before that, though, will he actually go to the Premier League?
I really don't know. Again, he's at the later stage of his career, and if Bayern has career like this, more than 100 million they want, I don't think anyone in the current climate can probably afford it. But obviously, if he wants what he wants, then he'll probably get his move as soon as possible.
I think, yeah, like you said, he'll get his move as soon as possible. It's whether he goes to the Premier League. So I'm just trying to think of the clubs that will need him. Of course, Manchester City would take him straight away because they need that striker, like we alluded to before. Chelsea don't really.
I would have said Chelsea before Lukaku.
Yeah. Liverpool. You
Maybe
can argue,
Liverpool.
Probably. I have heard in some recent articles today that that's probably his strongest connection where he's going to go to, really. So Liverpool, maybe they do sort of need a striker because I think Jota and Firmino, as much as they can play as a false nine, they can't. You wouldn't play them for 38 games of the season, would you? And we saw Firmino do it a couple of seasons ago, but he's never reached the heights of that season, really. 16, 17, 17, 18.
No.
So yeah, it's where he goes to next that's going to be the key thing. If he doesn't go to the Premier League, where would he go? Because he's not going to go to PSG, because if they get him somehow, FFP should clearly come in, and if they don't, then
Yeah.
it's a joke.
Maybe Barca. They're looking for a striker at the moment.
But I've heard that they can't play Depay and all them in the squad until they clear the debt. I don't know if that's actually entirely true. That's what I've heard, but that's bad for them in itself. Did you see Coutinho? Apparently, Ronald Koeman's relying on him with the number 10 jersey. Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think
It's
of
funny
that?
they haven't retired it.
I know, yeah. They made Maradona's into a stadium. What have Barca actually done with Messi when he's left, apart from the press conference?
Should get a statue at least.
Exactly. We're talking about one of the best players, if not the best player we've ever seen on this planet. And he's just like another outgoing. He's just like another. I'm trying to think. He's left recently. I can't think of anyone who's left Barca. He's a junior Firpo. He's just gone now, hasn't he? It doesn't matter. He's just gone. He wasn't anything special anyway, was it? But yeah, that club's in a mess at the moment. We'll move on to a striker from another striker now. Tammy Abraham, Chelsea to Roma, completes his £34 million deal. We saw him with Jose Mourinho yesterday. And I think he'll work in the Serie A very well, considering how the league flows and which style of play. I think he suits it. He's sort of like a Lukaku type of player. Big up front, won't let anybody mess around with him, pushing him on the floor. The only thing that you could say that he lacks that Lukaku had was pace, but I'm sure that'll come with time under Mourinho. It's a great signing though, and for the price that he's got, I think most people think it's fairly cheap for him in the modern day market.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good move for both sides. Tammy Abraham, I mean, he couldn't spend the rest of his career on the bench at Chelsea anyway. So, yeah, a very good move for him and for Roma for the price. And I think Chelsea have a buyback clause, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So Chelsea put buyback clauses on a lot of players, I think. And this is a great thing to show how much Chelsea's youth system is great. We've saw it with Mount, sort of Lampard sort of came through. I know he was at West Ham for that period. But there's other players as well. They've got so many players on loan at this current moment in time, and they had a ton last season. I think they nearly broke the amount of loans that you could possibly do.
Yeah.
So this is, from Chelsea's point of view, this is great to see because you're bringing in a ton of great youth players, and then you sell them to different and individual clubs. So as much as they nearly got FFP last season or the season before, I think it was, it's great to see that they've sort of got it all, I don't know, they've all got it sorted out, let's just say, with the youth team and how well they've done over these past couple of years. And the players are now moving on to different clubs, and the fees that they're getting, it's good for them because the fees that they're getting aren't too bad, to be fair. And considering 34 million and probably Tammy Abraham is the prime example of that, I'm sure they'll try and bring this in the future with other youth academy graduates that graduate into the first team. So from that point of view, it's good for Chelsea. Move on to one of their former players who's come back now. Romelu Lukaku has officially joined Chelsea, like I said last week, 7 years after he left. He's had great spells over these last couple of seasons. His best probably being at Inter. We spoke about him last week, Alex, but if you've had time to reflect over the transfer deal, it's the right move for Chelsea, isn't it? They made the decision clear that they wanted the man up top, and they got him.
Yeah, definitely. Werner just wasn't working out. I know he got their joint top scorer last season, but he's just not very much of a striker. I think he probably is better on the wing. And they wanted a lump to put up front, and who better than Lukaku, who is probably at the best point in his career at the moment, just coming off winning the league with Inter. So.
Exactly. We'll move on to another striker now. And this deal took me by a shock and surprise, Alex. Barcelona are interested in signing Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang from Arsenal and are willing to swap him in part of an exchange for Felipe Coutinho. we talk about Barca being in a mess, but does this match up when you've just brought in Memphis Depay? And if you're talking about depth, I don't think depth is the real reason why Barca need them at the moment. They need a starting 11 that's good enough, that's not, I'd say, corrupt, but overpaid.
Yeah, I mean, it completely goes with all the signings they made in recent years, and it just doesn't really suit what they're aspiring to be as a club. Like, I think Aubameyang's 32 now. He's definitely not at the peak of his career. He hasn't scored in ages for Arsenal. Can't even get into their team at the moment. So I really can't understand this from Barca. And as well, trying to give away Coutinho and Arsenal have just signed Odegaard, it just doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, and I think with Ronald Koeman coming out earlier this week and saying, I'm making him the number 10 and he's going to be one of my star players and he's going to lead this team, or one of the leaders in this team, especially up front in that attacking outlet. That shows to me that this is probably just a rumour that's sort of hit the papers and blasted across it because they think it's a great source. But now Ronald Koeman said that, I think it is just a rumour at the end of the day. I don't think it goes past anything else with that. So I think we'll leave it at that at the moment. But if it happens, it happens. But yeah, I think it's not really happening after what we've seen with him this season. Of course, I mentioned about Raphael Varane making his move to Manchester United from Real Madrid. Like Alex, of course, I'm buzzing with this sign. Don't get me wrong, and I think the starting 11 that we've got now is brilliant. We should be winning something this season, I think. With Varane coming in, that centre-back pairing will be absolutely great. I'm seeing people comparing him to Vidic and Rio. A bit too far yet, I think. We'll see if they prove themselves. It's good to see, though, United are finally strengthening that centre-back position next to Harry Maguire. But I just wanted to get your point of view of it, because I think we're going to get top 4 this season. I think we're going to be challenging for the title. But with Varane coming in and the type of player that he has been in a winning squad with Real Madrid, winning the Champions League 3 years in a row, it's another bit of experience towards this squad.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I've watched United, it's always been you can score goals. Like was there any game that you didn't score goals last season? I think there might be like a few, but I can't remember that many. And it's always been the defense that's really let you down. It's always been either Lindelof or Bailly or Maguire even at some points, but he's really turned it on before the Euros and after. So yeah, getting a world-class centre-back in like Raphael Varane, who's been there, done that, won the Champions League, is really important, and I think he'll do very well in the Prem. He's got pace, which you desperately needed at centre back. So yeah, I think he'll do very, very well. And I honestly think based on the Leeds performance, you could be challenging for the title because you were top 4 last season. I'm pretty sure you have a much better squad this season, and yeah, City just don't really look up to it as of yet. So yeah, I really fancy your chances this season.
Yeah, I think what you said about City there was a perfect example. I think if they get a striker in, that's like, it's clear cut. If City get a striker in, they're going to win the Prem. At the moment, though, with no striker properly up front and the depth with Gabriel Jesus only really the one striker, it's sort of the doubts and whether it will become a massive thing with De Bruyne. And I know they did it last season. But with the teams like United strengthening, Liverpool back to their full best, Chelsea have made some brilliant signings. They're coming off a great year last season. So it's sort of panic mode for now for City, isn't it? And if you were in their shoes, would you not go out and make a stupid signing? Because I've heard this week that they could be signing the tallest player in England who plays non-league. And I think he wouldn't get into the first team. But if they're looking at that type of player, like, it's not the Guardiola type of way to cross it into the box, long ball. It's probably just a rumour at the end of the day, but it's the way that how they need to get a striker. I'm not saying to catch up with the other clubs, but to certify their position in getting that 4th league title in a row.
Yeah, I just don't really understand it. Like, and they can splash 100 million out on Grealish all they want, but he's just like the same player that they already have. They have multiple attacking midfielders, wingers and stuff like that. And I just don't see why they don't even put 30, 40 million out there to get a decent striker just for a season and then get maybe a Harry Kane or a Haaland when they come a bit cheaper next season So yeah, I just don't really understand it. And as you said, if they do get a striker in, then they definitely more than likely will win the Premier League.
We'll move on to Joe Willock now, of course, former Arsenal player. He's made a permanent deal after his great loan spell at Newcastle last season. 25 million is the fee for it. He's wearing his 28 like he did last year, his number. Another great signing. The first signing for Newcastle this transfer window, Alex. And it's a great way to start it off.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's the one player that they probably would have gone in for over anyone else. He had a superb end to last season. I think, was it 10 games in a row that he scored?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's very mad.
It was 10 or 8, I think.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, he was just behind Vardy's record.
Yeah. So, yeah, like you said. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's the one player that I think they'll bring him in. And then, obviously, having him and Maximan behind Callum Wilson, I think he'll be very, very good for their attack this season.
Yeah, I think the only letdown that you could have with Newcastle this season is the defence. Jamal Lascelles, a great player, don't get me wrong, but the players surrounding him, that's where they could possibly fall and not make the top 10 this season. Of course, they came 12th last season. Steve Bruce did a great job, 13th, I think it was, around that position. So he did a great job to get them there. But it's now making success on top of that and going beyond what they're expected to do and getting to that top 10. So we'll see if Newcastle can do it this season. But the attack looks promising. The defence could need to strengthen towards this end of the transfer window. Move on to two players who have signed contract extensions. The first being Patrick Bamford for Leeds United. He signed until 2026, and Alex has been a proven part in that front three, you could say, really. Or he's played as a one sometimes, hasn't he? For Leeds, and it's shown he's got his deal now, and it shows how much he means to Bielsa. I know Bielsa's only staying for 1 more year, but that 1 more year could turn into 4. You just never know, do you? It just shows how much he recognized him as a great player.
Yeah, he's definitely a very good player. Showed it last season. I think he got, was it 13, 14 Premier League goals? Yeah, which for a player that no one really thought anything of before this season, I think it's very good of him. He's kind of the main focal point in that Leeds team with the very attacking midfield and the wingers as well. So, yeah, it's very good for them to keep him for a few more years.
Harvey Barnes also has made the move to stay with his club at Leicester City for a new 4-year contract because there was interest of Liverpool, of course. But yeah, he's made a 4-year contract extension. That'll keep him around 2025, 2026, 2027, around sort of Bamford as well when his contract runs out. We spoke about players who need to be in the squad and who have proved to be first-team quality, show that they're good enough. And Harvey Barnes, nearly without his injury, got selected for England last season. He's a key player to jot down and get into that team, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he only just broke through, I think it was about 2 years ago, into the Premier League, starting with Leicester. And he's just been on fire ever since. He's bagged quite a couple of goals as well. And obviously with Jamie Vardy and James Maddison in there as well, you're going to get as many chances as you want. So, yeah, he's a very important and young player for Leicester to keep. And he's definitely one for the future. And, I mean, if I could have seen him move somewhere, maybe even like City or Liverpool, because he's that type of player that you kind of want at the big teams. And he's just another cornerstone for Leicester to turn to becoming a bigger team.
Definitely. I think you said it, they're a bigger team. And I think with this new stadium, we spoke about it last week, all these little things add up to a big thing. I said that a lot last week, and this adds up to them sort of creeping in even more to that top 6. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see them in the next 10 years or so as a certified top 6 team.
Definitely.
We'll go on to some general news now that unfortunately consists of Millwall fans were booing as Fulham players knelt down for the knee. Alex, we've seen this a lot last season, and the first real outbreak of this being annoying was the Millwall situation last season. I think it was against. They were in a pink kit though. I want to say Swansea, but I don't think it was. It's happened again. Everything that's happened in this past summer with the Euros in England, it's. I'm trying to put it into words, but it's just disgraceful, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of darker skinned players that play for Millwall, and if I was them, I'd just be ashamed of my club and probably never even play again, because we've seen it time and time again. Like, it's getting old now. That I know it's happening quite a few places that they're still doing it around football grounds in England especially, but I mean, it's just a reoccurring thing with Millwall, and I think if some legal restrictions or something don't happen soon, then I think something's going to have to change at Millwall.
Definitely. And Millwall boss Gary Rowett came out after the game and said to find a better way to unify people than taking the knee. Now, we've seen Zaha and Ivan Toney stand in when other players have been taking the knee. Does he mean it in that way? Which way do you think he's perceiving it?
Mate, I don't know, because I mean, I get that them taking the knee and stuff is giving them the so-called racist kind of leg to stand on with the racism. Like, they're able to show that they don't agree with like all the things that they don't agree with. So yeah, I kind of agree with him in that sense. But I mean, something's going to happen, and I don't really know what they're going to do if they don't do that. So yeah.
Yeah, other than stand, that's the only thing I could think
Yeah.
of. Because with other clubs doing it, all the other, 72 clubs, I think it is, all the other clubs doing it in the league system. It's like sort of like, well, we're the odd one out now, aren't we? Because we can't not be bothered, but because our fans are affecting the situation so much, we're just not going to do anything. And I've seen them hold the banners up before the games and all that. But taking the knee, it's a bit more than that, isn't it? Than holding a banner up and with a piece of paper and some writing on it, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing I don't get with Millwall is they're booing taking the knee and everything before the match, but I think it was Benica Phobia who scored for them in that match, and they're willing to celebrate him and like do all of that, and he obviously is a player of darker skin, so like they've just gone against what they've been saying at the start of the match. So that's something I also don't really get with them. But yeah, as you said, I think something has to change, and obviously standing would probably be a more powerful gesture than taking the knee.
I think Millwall will take the longest for them to get their heads around this whole situation out of all the clubs, I would say, in England and the football
Definitely.
league system. So hopefully they can work on it, and hopefully we see a revitalised Millwall in the upcoming future. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Lukaku, though, we spoke about him before, he's expected to play in this game upcoming, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes when we do the score predictions against Arsenal this Sunday. It'll be interesting to see if he comes in straight away or will he come on as a sub. We'll go on to another legend. Well, I say legend. Lukaku, he's not reached that level yet, but you never know.
Yeah.
Premier League proven with Chelsea and win a couple of Champions Leagues. We'll see. But yeah, from a great striker to another striker, Gerd Muller, or Gerd Muller, however you want to pronounce it, has sadly passed away. The Bayern Munich and German legend. Of course, he's won the World Cup 1970, 1974 with that great, I think it was West Germany then, wasn't it? Unfortunately, he's passed away at the age of 75. The former club announced it this past week, around 4 days ago. And it's sad to see another legend being lost in the game. And for the generation, along with Cruyff, he was probably the best player. And you can see that going back and looking at the stats and facts about him. He was one of the top goal scorers before Miroslav Klose broke his record in 2014 in the World Cup. He was their top goal scorer in World Cups. So that in itself just speaks volumes about him, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're getting to this point where all of the greats that have recorded football history, obviously football's been around for ages, but have recorded football. Some of the older players like Maradona, as you said, Gerd Muller, who's just died. Like, we're starting to get some of them pass away, and then it's just it's getting to that time where it's you have to remember them more. And I hope there's going to be like a statue for some of these players. I don't know whether they're getting one outside of Napoli for Maradona or anything, but I think we have to like remember them especially for everything. Like they've just developed football as we know it. So, yeah.
Also with Maradona, they named the stadium after him. I think. I'm not sure if it's officially gone through, but that's one thing that they've done. So we'll see if Bayern or the German FA will do anything for Gerd Muller. But yeah, rest in peace to a great legend who affected the game, and people would never have thought. But we'll go on to Liverpool and the Norwich game. We spoke about it before. Liverpool have condemned the homophobic chants directed at Billy Gilmore. Of course, this is coming from the chant that most people sing at games. Well, I'll say most people, some people, with it being Chelsea Rent Boys. I'm just saying it because people might not know what it is. I don't know if did you have a problem last season where you said it?
Yeah. I think there was
I say
a
you
six.
say it. I'll talk about Everton.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was just like I think it happens at a lot of away games for Chelsea fans. Like, there's been that song around. I think it was like since the '60s or something. And I think now that football are starting to highlight the different matters like racism and as you said, homophobic chanting and stuff like that is starting to get around a bit more, and a lot of teams are being prosecuted a bit more for it. Yeah, as they should. I mean, yeah.
Took the words straight out of my mouth. Raul Jimenez made his return. Unfortunately, him and Bruno Lage couldn't get the win, but it was good to see him back. And even though he does have sort of the head brace, it was just great to see him back in general, because it's an incredible comeback, because people thought he was never ever going to play again. So to see him come back in this game against Leicester, against sort of their Midlands rivals, and I know he didn't score, but he sort of put that dominance that we're used to with Jimenez up front into full action that game, I thought.
Yeah, he was. It was obviously very good to see him on the pitch with that horrible injury. I think a lot of us thought he probably wouldn't get back on a Premier League football pitch. So just to see him back to a very positive thing, and a positive thing for Wolves as well, because he was such an important player for them when they had him on the pitch. So
yeah, so good to see him back. We'll move on to the kits though that have recently come out this week. Alex has got a bit of wind blowing in the background. We've got the Juventus kit and the Bayern Munich kit. We'll talk about the Juventus kit first, Alex. And we're both fans of great looking kits, but this one is very, very different. What is the 4XE? Do you know what the meaning is behind that?
I don't know. I think it was on their other kit as well, wasn't it? I think is it something to do with Jeep?
It must be. It must be a certain type of car or a certain type of model that they're bringing out. But the kit overall will take away this. Well, we won't take away the sponsor because it's part of the kit. But colours, everything coming into it. Adidas yellow badge. Of course, it's got the classic white of Juventus. It's got the blue, and then it's got the yellow. Of course, this is the third kit. Remember, not the away kit. Thoughts?
I wasn't the biggest fan of it when I first saw it, but it's kind of growing on me a bit. I mean, I remember the old Juventus kits, the yellows and the blues. I mean, the yellow and like the blue trimmings and stuff. I really used to like them, but yeah, they've gone a bit rogue with this one. But I kind of like it. But yeah, I mean, it'll probably grow on me even more. But yeah, I'm not. I don't know.
A lot of people thought they went rogue last season with the orange and black kit, which looked incredible. This season, whether it reaches the heights that that kit expected, we'll wait and see. But it's with these kit launches, you can't really get the full grasp of how it looks like and how you feel about it, because you can look at the t-shirt, but then the shorts and the socks, that all comes into play. Personally, I think so. You can't get an overall of the kit. It's like when we were talking about United's away kit, where it was like the sort of the blue mini lines going across with the red badge and stuff. I said to you, if it's with blue shorts, I think it'll blue shorts and blue socks. I think it'll look fine. It's just that if they put white socks with it, I'm not sure if it would be a fan with it. So it's the certain accessories to the kit, you could say, that make it all into one big kit. So yeah, I just wanted to get that across to see, like, it's not be all or end all if you see the top and the rest of the kit's not nice. But we'll talk about a nice kit now. Bayern Munich played in the Supercup where they beat Dortmund 3-1. It's the German Supercup I'm on about. Lewandowski actually scored in that match, but whether he'll stay, we spoke about it before. You never know. But the Bayern Munich kit, Alex, what for the listeners, should we talk through the kit?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to say about it. I think it's red trimmings, and then a bit of black on the shoulders, and then they've got a red badge, and in the background it looks to be sort of a mountain range.
Yeah, I thought it was mountains. I've zoomed in on it.
Yeah,
it sort of looks like a bit of a map, sort of centrally anyway on the kit in the center. But yeah, we'll go with what we both thought of the mountains aspect. I'm sure that has a deeper meaning behind it that we probably don't know about because
yeah.
it's been told certainly on this post. But another great kit from Bayern. They seem to not really get it wrong that often. There's another kit of an example of that.
Yeah, I think with the Adidas and is it I don't know, what's the T? I forgot what it is. The sponsor.
T-Mobile.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it just goes really well with all their kits, and obviously that badge is pretty clean as well. So yeah, I mean Adidas again have done really well with their kit, and I think they take the most time probably on buying kits out of them all, but I'm pretty sure this will sell very well.
Definitely. I've heard people criticize the new Adidas logo on some of the home and away kits. Away and third kits, with having a different writing. So for this example on Bayern's kit, it's black writing with the red 3 sort of, I'm trying to think, you could say blocks sort of slanted, the Adidas logo of, or the modern day Adidas logo in red. What are your thoughts on this one? Because I personally like it. I think it looks quite nice. They're switching it up a bit. We've not really seen Nike or Puma or any other brands do it like that. What do you think of this sort of brand change around?
Yeah, I really like it as well. I think it really suits the kit. If it was all red, I think it'd give the kit a different sort of texture, and I think with the black as well on the collar and the sleeves, I think it goes really well with it.
Yep, and now I'm just going to get up a kit which has been absolutely slated online, and I heard about it earlier this week. I think you know which one I'm on about, Alex, don't you?
I don't know.
This kit.
Oh yeah. That is.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, I saw a lot of people comment on it, and I think the best one I saw was it looks like one of those shirts you get for £5 at a Spanish airport or something like that. So yeah, I think I'll use that.
Yeah, I think I think that's the right way to sort of explain it. We've never seen a kit like this before. Puma have done this with all the third kits. Of course, the city badge is ingrained in the background. You can't really see it, but the badges, like, there must be like 20 of them, 10 of them all over the background of the kit. Then I'm trying to think what else you can really see here. Let me try and zoom in on it. That's a bit better, isn't it? So you've got the Puma logo at the top in white, of course, Man City, and then the Etihad Airways. It sort of looks a bit crammed in, I think.
Yeah.
I think most people agree with me, but it does look crammed in. And compared to the home and the away kit, which most people thought were nice and they were very clean, don't get me wrong, this is just a new level, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing they put on the front was something like "Dare to be different," but it just doesn't look like a football kit.
Yeah.
And I know they've done it just to like be sort of different, but they haven't got the badge. I know they've ingrained it into the back, but if it hadn't got Man City written on the front of it, you wouldn't realise it was a football kit. You think it's just like a training top or something like that. And I can't really imagine anyone playing in a Premier League game in a shirt like that. So yeah, I mean, it's not my cup of tea.
No, I don't think it's many people's cups of tea either. We need to call it something. What were you on about the Spanish kits before? Should we call it the Man City Spain kit or something?
The one you get £5.
I try to think. What do you call the people in like foreign countries who sell you like fake kits? They're just sellers, aren't they? Really? I'm trying. Let me think. I'm trying to come up with a number.
We should incorporate Poundland into it, I think.
The Poundland inspired Spain knockoff City kit. It's a long title.
Just to my own.
It's hard. Yeah, it is hard to think of.
Is that any better? Okay.
You're right. So we'll move off the kits now, and we'll go on to score prediction time. Now, Joe has not with us. He's not sent me in. I forgot to ask him. So we'll get his, hopefully, the rest of this weekend before the game week starts. But let me just share the screen now so we can go through the games. How confident are you about this? Because, of course, a lot of goals last weekend, Alex. It's the second game. It's the second most on an opening weekend of the Premier League that many goals were scored. So we spoke about it with a lot of clubs setting the standard for the rest of the season. And could this Premier League season be a very, very good season considering fans are back in stadiums?
Yeah, definitely. It was a very weird first week. I mean, a lot of teams we didn't expect to win one, and obviously it's going to be difficult for the second week. And I think some teams as well might have second season syndrome, especially Leeds. I think will not struggle, but they definitely didn't show much on the first day. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, they've got a lot to prove. Especially with the new signings that they brought in, Junior Firpo being one of them, and making Jack Harrison a permanent deal. So yeah, they've got a bit to prove as well. And the second game week could be the time to do it. Are you ready?
Yeah. We've got Anthony as a guest, by the way.
Yeah. So yeah, we're planning.
Wait, do you want me to say the scores from last week?
Oh yeah, did you add them up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go on.
Wait, it wasn't very hard. So currently,
yeah,
I'm on 0.
Yeah.
You're on 0.
Right.
Joe's on 0, and the guests are on 1.
So Jason got one right. Which game did he get right?
He got Liverpool 3, Norwich 0.
Of course he got Liverpool's one right, because he's a Liverpool fan, of course. So yeah, fair play to the guests. We're trying to get one every single week. If you want to participate in it, send them over for the next game week, and we'll hopefully get in contact with you and get it sorted so we can say it on. And if you even want to come on the stream to say your score predictions with us, you can happily come on and do that with us. But we'll start off with match week 2, game week 2, as we would call it in FPL, of the Premier League 21-22 season. The first game kicks off at Liverpool versus Burnley, the earliest kickoff in Saturday, 12:30 at Anfield. Alex, what have you predicted for this game?
I've gone 3-0 to Liverpool.
3-0, another 3-0 battering, because we saw it last weekend as well against Norwich. But I think it's going to be a bit of a different one. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Liverpool. I think they'll get the revenge from last season when they faced Burnley at Anfield.
And Anthony's gone for 4-0 to Liverpool.
Of course, we've not got his scores, but we'll let you know next week, because he won't have cheated, because we'll message him straight after this stream to say what he scores, and we'll add them to the tally. So the next game, his team, Aston Villa versus Newcastle, they've got a point to prove after their 3-2 loss against Watford last weekend at Villa Park. What's your score prediction, Alex?
I've gone for 3-2 to Aston Villa.
Oh, another 3-2 thriller. This time in Villa's favour, though. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Aston Villa win.
And Anthony has gone 2-0 to Aston Villa.
Brentford play their first away game in the Premier League for 74 years at Selhurst Park against Patrick Vieira's Palace. 3:00 kickoff again. What's your score prediction, Alex?
I've gone 2-1 to Brentford.
I'm going to go 1-1. I think Palace will be a bit defensive considering how much Brentford opened up Arsenal.
And Anthony also went 2-1 to Brentford.
We'll go on to Leeds United now, where they play your team, Alex, and Anthony's Everton at Ellen Road. A big fixture for both sides, considering Leeds got off to a poor performance and Everton could get another win. What's your score prediction, Alex?
I went 1-1.
I'm going to go 1-0 Everton.
Oh. Anthony went for 2-2, which wouldn't be the worst result, you know. Still a good team, Marcelo Bielsa's side. So, yeah.
The next game, the two cities consisting of Manchester City and Norwich City, two ends of the scale, fighting for relegation, trying to win the title. But this time it's at the Etihad. What's your score prediction, Alex?
I went 4-0 to Man City. I think they'll bounce back very well.
4-0. I think I might go the same as you, you know. I think 4-0 could be in the sights of Pep bouncing back, from the Spurs result. So yeah, I'm going to go 4-0 as well.
Anthony went 3-1 to City.
The next game, Brighton versus Watford, the evening tea time kickoff game. Big game for Brighton, considering they did, well, I say a big game, they did win 1-0. I think it was 2-1 against Burnley.
2-1 Burnley, yeah.
Yeah, and they had to come back in that second half. Neil Maupay and then McAllister getting the winner. What's your score prediction?
I've just changed. I had 2-0 to Brighton, but I've changed it to 2-1 to Watford.
See, I'm going to go with your first result, but switch it the other way around because Watford look like a great side this season. 2-0 Watford.
And Anthony went 1-1.
Ooh, yeah, you could possibly see that a 1-1 game. I would say old Watford, that's a 1-1 game, but with this new Watford, I think there's going to be goals. Next game, we'll go on to the Sunday games now. The earliest kickoff, I say earliest, the 2 o'clock kickoff, Southampton versus Manchester United, 2 o'clock at St Mary's Stadium.
I went for 4-1 to Manchester United.
4-1. Now, this is the game that Sancho and Varane could possibly both start in, and it'll be exciting to see how they do. Southampton didn't really get off to the best of starts, did they?
No. I think your attack will just be a bit too much for them.
Yeah, I was going to say that Manchester United could do some damage to this Southampton lack defence with Yannick Vestergaard going to Leicester. It's going to be a good game. I think there's going to be goals like you said, but I'm going to go for a 3-1 Manchester United. Actually, I've got confidence in our defence. 3-0 to Manchester United.
And Anthony went for 3-0 United as well. Ooh.
Ooh. The only thing that's lingering in my mind now is Adam Armstrong, the new signing. It's worrying me a bit, but we'll see. Wolves versus Tottenham, also on at the same time. This time, though, it's at Wolves' stadium. Nuno Espirito Santo comes back to Molineux. It'll be a tasty affair. Who's coming out on top, Alex?
I've gone for 2-0 to Tottenham Hotspur.
Wolves, this is going to be attacking. They'll play 4-2-3-1, which Nuno did sort of to the back end of last season. It looks like he's sticking with his usual 3 at Tottenham at the back, though. So we'll see how they match up against each other. Wolves have got something to prove. I think they need to get a win on the board, I think, this game. So I'm going to go 1-0 to Wolves. Or should I go 2-1 Spurs? I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs. No, yeah, I'm going to go 1-0 Wolves. 1-0 Wolves. I've got to make them a decision. It's hard.
Anthony also went for 2-0 to Tottenham Hotspur.
A London derby on Sunday, 4:30. Arsenal versus Chelsea. Romelu Lukaku could possibly be involved, maybe off the bench or even starting for all we know. What's your score prediction, Alex?
I went for 1-1.
I think there's going to be damage for Arsenal. Unfortunately, I know Arsenal fans won't want to hear it. I don't think Odegaard can play this game either. If he does sign, because it's not officially been announced yet. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to go 3-1 Chelsea.
Mm.
And they did have a pre-season friendly as well, which Chelsea won.
Yeah.
So it's
Anthony went 2-0 to Chelsea.
And then two teams who surprised the Premier League last season will play the first Monday night football fixture of this season. West Ham versus Leicester City. The last game of the game week, Alex, what's your score prediction?
I went 2-1 West Ham.
I think there's going to be goals in this one, and I think West Ham will win 3-2.
Ooh.
No, not 3-2. I'm going to go 2-2. There's going to be goals. 2-2. I'm switching it up.
They won this fixture last time, didn't they?
I think they did. Yeah, I think you're right there, Anthony.
Well, apparently Anthony doesn't think there's going to be goals. He went for 0-0.
Oh, I just think the attacking outlets on both sides are going to be hard to stop.
Yeah.
But who knows? It could be 0-0. But yeah, that's all of our score predictions done for game week 2 of the Premier League season. But I think we're all finished. We'll let the game's second game week begin. That's bye from me, though.
And me.
And make sure to follow all of our social medias down there. I got it right this time. And hopefully Joe can be with us next week. I don't know if I'll actually be here. I'm going to Leeds, so maybe it could be just you and Joe. Would you take on the rain all around?
Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
We'll see. But if it's not next week, it will be the next week after. But yeah, we'll see you then. And yeah, I won't leave the studio this time, Alex. I'll stay in it with you, because last week I watched back on the podcast and it was saying Alex was going, "Oh, I need to get out. Don't lift me." So I'll end it this time. But yeah, that's all. Bye from all of us. We'll see you in the next one.